Hey guys, I'm here with Kevin and Lesego and myself, obviously. Hey, and we're here to
Hey.
share with you guys our high school experience and what to look out for, some tips and tricks. Yeah, so let's get into the video, guys.
I went to high school a number of years ago. Judging from my young beard, you can see that it's quite a number. But anyway, so high school, that was not. It was an okay time. Eh? Like I can't really say it was a bad experience. I can't say it was a great experience. I know for many people, most especially people with whom I went to high school, they really enjoy, like some of them really enjoyed high school. Like for many people, high school was that experience. Like, oh, remember how in high school this and that and this and that. And for me, it was just like an ordinary. It was a passage of time. Like I needed to go through it in order to get to second or certain stage of my life. So it was I basically took it. I took each day as it came. And I just remember going from primary to high school, there was like this whole nervous feeling about, changing schools, going into high school, what's the experience, what's going to happen, and whatever. And like how in primary, you've got all of these teachers who tell you how you're going to go to high school, it's a different environment, there's so many people, this and that, and this and the other. And it was quite a nerve-wracking experience going there. But I remember just having a thing of, you know what, I'm gonna go there and nothing's gonna happen to me. I'll be fine. I'm not gonna step on anyone's foot. I'm just gonna stay in my lane. And I did that, but in doing that, you kind of realize and you see what the waters are like, and yeah, eventually I got into it and it was just an ordinary experience. Nothing great, no necessary, not was this I didn't necessarily have any kind of highlights or anything like that, but it wasn't a gloomy period of my life. Because I know for some other people who didn't find high school to be an amazing time in their lives would really say that high school was a terrible time. So for me it was okay. I think I don't think I know, I was RCL for like 3 years, from grade 10 up until grade 12. And also, I was in the same high school for 5 years. And I think being RCL, also, I was amongst the top achievers because, my judge, I'm one of those kids. Um, and what happened was, because of that, you end up becoming a popular person. Like everyone knows, you know what I mean? Because I'm also very friendly, I'd like to believe you end up being friends with almost everyone. Like, even if they're not necessarily your friends, but you're just acquainted with everyone. And I was just friendly with everyone. So, in as much as I had like my very few friends, I was just everyone's person. You know what I mean? And that kind of high school and okay experience for me. But I didn't have. I think the one thing that I didn't really have was like a clique. You know that whole thing where where there's like a group of people, and that's the one thing that was common in my high school. Like there was just groups and groups of people who were friends and things like that. With me, it was like maybe I know two people over there that I kind of like, and there's two other people in that other clique that I kind of like, and then it was actually difficult sometimes because you find that some people are just like, hey, when I eat this and that, because you were found to be sitting with those people at a certain time, so it was a very, like I say, it was an okay experience for me, but nothing amazing. Like I can't be like, whoa, high school, the only manade ne di boa, it's getting eating. There was none of that. It was just like, oh, okay, people would go to house parties, people would have kids and all of that. I'm joking. Not really, but yeah, things were just happening. And for me, it was just like, guys, let's go study, let's go finish. For me, in fact, I think for the longest time, I've always wanted to be an adult. So high school was just a thing of, can we get this over and done with? So let's study, let's finish school, let's get into university and go people. And now we're adults, and it's just like, take me back.
So, hi guys. So with my high school experience, it was fun. I'm not gonna lie. I think high school was one of my best years. Because from primary going into high school, I wasn't like I never thought I was the best looking girl. I never thought I was the best in anything because in primary I would be like second best. In athletics I'd probably be fourth. In top 10 I'd probably be number seven. So I got to high school and I entered for athletics and I made every single one of them. I got into netball, I got into softball, I did hockey, I did everything. And I think those are the best times of my life because immediately when I got in grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, I'm already doing extramural activities. And I think that's what made high school very pleasant is that I got involved into so many activities. I was also very much like an academic. I loved my books. I loved studying. I loved doing homework, extra classes. I was on the top 10 from grade 8 until grade 12. So that was pretty cool. Um, but then I ran away from like RCL duties, prefect duties, and things like that because I had friends who were like not so good, you know. Um, so I would find it difficult for me to like take my friends to detention or to tell them, yo, when I'm so. So yeah. However, uh, Kevin is right when he says high school years was those years. They're like the cliques. Everybody had a squad. Everybody had a clique. And I didn't have a clique. I was very, very, very quiet, very shy. However, I got a clique outside of school, you see. So it was a group of girls we met via Facebook. They were so, so beautiful. And we started this clique, Barge Capion. Guys, like we would get hotel like free hotel vouchers. We would get people telling us come through to our event, and then when we get there, we get drinks, we get kore, marobalo, everything. We would make appearances at parties. Like that was like Capion. Yo, it was so nice. The only difference was I was the only one there that was an academic school, a student, doing my homework, doing all of that. So I just got exposed to the other side of school, creative world, entertainment industry, and all of that. So, and then for the first time in grade 11, term two, I got dropped out of the top 10. My gosh, I couldn't believe it. I told myself this creative life is not for me. I'm going back. So, Kehemola, I'd go back to studying, go back to doing my normal routine, and I came back on the top 10. So, I think the greatest moments for me in high school are to just have fun, do those extramural activities, um, have those little cells that people have, join squads if you want to join squads. I think you learn a lot in high school about how people are because we see the same people every day for the whole week, the whole year. So you learn a lot about people, and I learned a lot about that in high school. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty fun for me. Yeah.
Yes. So my high school experience, yo guys, what you said about like the whole clicks and everything. Um, I think I had a click, but then it wasn't like a click, you know what I mean? It was like just your people, you know? And I think in my school, everyone just got along, or like in the designated grades, you know, everyone was just like cool with everybody. But then you had your people that you know, had lunch with, you know, you just hung around with often. So I guess maybe those were the cliques, and I had the best clique. If I had if that's what you call like a clique, I had the best. I think, like, looking back at my high school experience, my friends were, I think, the best part of high school, you know. School, hey guys, school was just different, you know. I just didn't get the teachers, you know. I think maybe teachers just play a role, like a big role in your your love for school, because my teachers, I didn't feel them, you know. So um okay, I'm gonna mention something about my teacher later, but basically uh in primary I was that kid, Vele. You know, I got awards, you know. I was really good, I was strong academically, you know. I was popping, you know. And then it's like, you know, when like your life, when you go your whole life and then you think, you know, you get like a I want to say like a 60% is a fail, you know what I mean? Like, even like a 70, you know what I mean? It's like, a 70, you know. Yeah, so it was always like that. Guys, I got into high school, and then um I don't know, it was just different. The thing is, you know, with Lesego, you mentioned that you know, you had like these friends, you know, but not in school, but like outside, and then they weren't very serious, and then I guess, I don't know if they delayed your, like, your learning or whatever. For me, it wasn't friends. As much as I loved my friends, you know, in high school, and I would say they were the best part of my high school, but they they weren't the ones, you know, who shifted my focus. So the thing is, you know, I got into high school, and then I remember, like, we wrote our first class test, you guys. And like, the thing is, like I said, you know, coming from a back, like, growing up thinking, you know, getting a 60%, like, you've basically failed. And by failing, like, what does that even mean? Like, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? Like, who am I? You know, like, that sort of pressure. And like, it was almost as if you're scared to fail, because it's like, by failing, like, what is a fail even, you know what I mean? So I remember I wrote my first test. It was a science test. It was, we were doing like natural sciences at the time, and hey guys, it came back like, I think it was like a 60 or like 60 something. Wabona inhliziyo. Guys, I've never felt like a failure so much in my life. And I remember, the thing is, when you've never experienced a fail before, it's like you don't know how to take it. And then once you know what failing is like, or like a 60, then it's like, I'm still alive, you know, like, we keep moving. So the thing is, I was so scared to fail, that because I didn't know what it was, that when I started failing, getting those 60s, I started getting comfortable, you guys. Like, it didn't scare me, because I was scared getting there. And then once I was there, I'm like, so this is it. But then I remember it was like a shock at first. And then I'm like, but then I'm still alive. You know, life is moving, whatever. And then I remember writing my second test, and guys, like, I kid you not, like, my marks started like going down and down from that point. And what what you know, got me in that state was, like, looking back, like, at the time, I don't think you know your distractions, or maybe you do, but like, it's like, whatever, you know. But my distraction was TV, you guys. I kid you not. Like, I think that's why I Yo guys, get our TV. Like that's why I'm so scared of television now, because I know what it guys, it set me back so much. The thing was, I would keep watching the stuff that I've watched before. It was just so addictive, and I don't know why, but it was just so good. TV was so good. I think that was like the prime of television at the time. Yeah, so, and I never got back. I like guys in high school, I've never been a top nothing. I promise you. I've never been, top 10, top whatever, you know, but then also I wasn't even like a prefect. But then also I wasn't a prefect in primary still, because I've never really I've never really wanted to become a prefect, like, to be honest, ne? I don't know. I don't know what it is about. Kore, how do I say this? It's like prefecting was not my calling, you see. Yeah, I feel like some people, also I think maybe like I got it a bit from my mom, because she also, in her year they told her to become like a prefect in her time, and then she actually refused. She was like, no, I'm not gonna, um what's this, I'm not gonna prefect kids who don't know why they are at school, you see. So then it stuck to me, because I'm like, oh, actually, like, being a prefect is almost like you are policing kids, and then you're like you're telling on them, or like you are just like, like you are the policeman of your own peers. And I'm like, if my own peer doesn't know what they want to do, like, hey, get away, you know what I mean? So yeah, I never met, but I think now looking back, I could have done well in it, but I didn't give myself a chance. And I think also, like, it's I don't like regrets. I don't like saying like I have regrets, because I take full responsibility of everything, all my choices that I make. But then I think, like, I would actually encourage someone to become a prefect, because, like, on your CV, it shows that you, especially like going into like leadership positions, like, wanting to become a CA, for instance, like, you're studying towards a leadership thing, and then you don't even have like a leadership reference, you know what I mean? But for me, it was always like, if you want me to be a leader, I can hop on real quick. I'm just not gonna be a leader now, because I don't want to be. But then, yeah, I would advise someone to become a leader. Yeah, so that was my high school experience, and honestly, I don't even know how I made it, guys. Like, because it's like I kept deteriorating every single year. Grade 10 was my worst year. Grade 10 was my best year ever in high school, but it was my worst year in terms of like academics. And I know mathematics. Remember, I told you guys when, in grade 10, like, they told us, if you're not performing well in maths, then you're going to have to go to maths literacy. So that, for me, I think that was like, it shook me. That was like a very shaky moment that, stood out the most. I would not the most, but then it was like, when I think of high school, I think of my maths teacher telling me that I couldn't do mathematics.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my high school experience. Okay, what would you guys say is the best advice that you would give someone who's entering into high school, or someone just experiencing high school currently?
Best advice getting into high school: know yourself, so that when you get into high school, you know what not to get into, what pressures to avoid. Um, this is where you start to meet friends, you start to make friends, and other friends are still gonna be with you throughout the years that other friends aren't. So I think the better you know yourself, the better you know how to choose friends that you could possibly take with to university. Um, and just be free, be young, because I think it's like the last chance to be young. Because as soon as you move into university, it's older people, and there's no one that's in high school. So I think have fun, um, do all the activities that are there, play sports, run, do everything as a child should and would do, and just enjoy it. Yeah.
So I also want to like emphasize on your point, the friends thing. So yeah, no, like peer pressure, you know, you do not have to do what people are doing. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be on your own lane, to, you know, be on your own path, do your thing. You know, don't feel obligated because you are in a certain age that you're missing out on what, you know, the cool kids are doing, or just like kids your age are doing, and then you feel like something is wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. It is okay to do your own thing, be on your own path. It's actually even, it shows that you are more mature, you know, like when you know yourself and everyone else is running off doing whatever that they're doing, and you can just, you know, step back and be like, okay, but that's not for me. And if it is for you, then that's good, you know. But knowing when things are not for you, that is very important, because like Lesego said, you know, some of these people who are your friends now in high school, you're not even going to see again after high school. You know, some of them you stop being in contact with, some of them you really, like, you guys just go in very separate ways. It might even be that before you even finish high school, you're not even friends anymore, you see. So it's very pointless living your life for people who don't serve your life going forward, because now, you know, the thing is, you might not, like, the thing about high school is that, you know, everybody is trying to do their own, like, they're doing their thing, growing themselves. And if you used it trying to chase, you know, whatever latest things that are happening, then you fall behind, you know. And, you know, people are now, like, after high school, they're well off, you know. People are branching out and you're stuck not knowing, you know, where to go, what to do, because they are not there anymore, you see. So it's very important not to fall in peer pressure. And extramurals as well, very important, because it builds character. Like, I feel like you and I, Lesego, we have the exact same points. Like, those are, I think it shows how, you know, important these points are, because you know, extramurals are cool, you know. You get to exercise. Exercising is good, you know. You get to meet other friends, because you do find that, you know, you have your academic friends or like normal class friends or whatever, but then you get to branch out your friend group by, you know, taking part in extramurals and all that, and you develop new skills. You don't know how you're going to use them in future. You know, you might take up a career in whatever sports that you're doing, whatever extra curricular that you're doing might take you somewhere. So um do not sleep on extramurals. I wish I had taken swimming seriously, you guys. I don't know. It's embarrassing to say at my age, I don't know how to swim. Yeah, because I mean, I never saw the point. Like, for me, growing up, it was always the thing of, if it makes sense, then cool. If it doesn't make sense, why am I doing it? So for me, I never saw the point of swimming. Like, what is swimming? But now that I'm older, I realize, no, it is a life skill. You know, we could have floods, and then what am I gonna drown? You see? So swimming is a basic life skill, and I wish I had known that. It's like one of the things that, if I were to go back, I don't regret anything, because I made my choice. But if I were to go back, I would definitely take those swimming lessons, because you're paying school fees. They are free, you know. Take up as much as you can. The thing is, when you go outside now, I took up swimming lessons. I had to pay to learn how to swim, you know. And even then, I'm not as good as what I could have been if I had learned from that young age. My brother is dope at swimming. He learned when he was like in grade 1 already, and he's great at swimming. And I always look at him and I'm like, I so wish that I can't, you know. I mean, I can survive in water, but I can't swim. There's a big difference. So yeah, that's another thing. And I would say also, asking questions in class. This is something that I didn't really, you know, exercise a lot on. And again, like I said, some of the things that I would, you know, want to change if I were to go back, I never asked questions. Or when I did, I think it's because some of the teachers were very hostile. And you know how someone treats you, like, in the first jump, you know, you chill and you sort of like reserve yourself, because it took so much from you. most probably, to begin with, asking that question. So my piece of advice would be, do not let any teacher or any classmates make you feel like, your questions are invalid. You are there to learn after all. Ask questions. Yes. Ask questions as much as you can. Do not be shy. Like, exercise your confidence, and it starts in the classroom. I mean, you are in class with these people the whole year, like, how are you scared of them? Like, what are they going to do? You know what I mean? So, and the teacher's just the teacher. So ask questions, and yeah, those are my pieces of advice.
A very important thing that Masego said was, don't, I'm paraphrasing, but basically don't allow yourself to be caught up in peer pressure and things like that. And I think that's the one thing I'm really, when I consider the type of person that I was in high school, right? Look, I'm not going to say I was a bookworm, because I never really liked studying. I never really liked sitting with books and whatever. I just got things. Do you understand? And I would like say lucky enough that if a teacher explains something, I got it and it made sense, and that was that. And I'd have notes and fine. And if it was math or whatever, I'd practice, do my homework and whatever, and then you get it, right? Accounting, you practice in class, you do your homework, you get it. So I didn't necessarily have to sit hours on end. And that was an unfortunate part, because when I started high school, so okay, so basically when I was in primary, I was in, like, I was not a top achiever, but I was in like the top 10, but usually like number 7, number 9, things like that, you know what I mean? And not with like the most outstanding average or whatever. Then I got to high school, grade 8, grade 9. I would have averages of like 86% and things like that. And getting a 76 was like, I need to push this mark up. And when I look at the things that I did beginning of my high school, to later on in high school. From grade 8 to, like, basically grade 8 to 9, I was very much of a, like, I actually studied. I would actually sit, write, make notes for myself, set up questions for myself, basically testing everything and making sure that I understand that, and that I would be like fine in the test, right? Then I got to grade 10, 11, 12, and you get to a particular point where, because of your performance, you start thinking you're untouchable. So I think if there was one thing that I would change, it would be that, like, continuing with the same momentum. So basically, the first thing would be for focus, right? Start focus. Take into consideration the fact that what you do in high school has a very huge impact on the rest of your life. And this is one thing that people don't understand. And I see this with a lot of people who are currently in high school, right? These young kids right now, my 2000, is that it's so, for them, it's like have fun, do all of those things, which is like, it's not, I'm not going to say don't do that. Have your fun, like live your life, do you understand? It's very important, but do consider that some of the things, or many of the things that you do and many of the decisions that you take in high school have a huge impact on the rest of your life. Because if you would like to become a doctor, for example, yet you are at house parties, you are, chasing cliques and being the most popular person in school, and you're not focusing on your books, you're not cultivating and nurturing all of the qualities that are necessary for you to become a doctor one, then you have ruined that dream, something that potentially could really happen, honestly. Then you find yourself, because I know a number of people also with whom I was in high school who had a lot of potential, but they were so caught up in being popular, looking fancy in school uniform, which is something I never used to understand. And they were so caught up in all of those little unnecessary things that a person who had the potential to go be a top achiever in university ended up not even being able to get into university. You know what I mean? Because they were so caught up in. And look, like I said, it's okay to have your fun and to get in relationships if you want to get in relationships and do all of that, right? But do not discount the importance of focusing on your books, focusing on school, focusing on the main reason for which you're in high school, right? You're there to learn. And you're there to learn, and you're not there to look nice or be popular or do all of those things, right? So the first thing for me would be focus. Remember the reason why you're in high school. The second thing, don't get caught up in the hype. It ends, guys. That is one thing that you need to understand. And one thing parents always say, or elders or old people, is that monate hao fail. Monate hao fail kannete. Like, you can go through high school or whatever part of your life. You can go through whatever part of your life, just shutting everything out, right? And getting that necessary part of your life over and done with. And then, like, you're legit going to get there. And the nice thing about it, and this is one thing that I really appreciate, having been taught by my parents, is that once you're done, you are like, I don't know how to say this in English, right? Because you're done, right? You've got your matric, for example, and you have decent enough marks to go to whichever university, or to, if you don't want to go to university, it's fine. You still have a good matric, and you
You've got
know if
options.
you've got options. Exactly, you've got options. So that's the one thing that people don't understand. And there's someone that I know who is in high school right now, and it's so unfortunate because this person has so much potential, and is so invested in hashtag, you understand, in things that are pointless. And for me, like, I've always, like, Masego said something about, for her, things are, I'm not gonna waste my time doing something if, like, it's not necessary, you understand? And unfortunately, the one common thing amongst the young people right now is that they're so invested in things that aren't necessary, so invested in the latest phone, looking whatever, and all of those things. And the thing about it is that, like I said, all of those things will remain. Dilo tseo ne di le teng when we were in high school, di sa le teng, so clearly, and then ne di le teng ka dinako tsa batsadi ba rona. So those things are legit always going to be there. Like, you always gonna want to be the most popular, the most decent, wear the latest clothes and things like that. So for me, look, when you're in high school, focus. Remember why you're there. I'm not saying live a boring life, but just remember why you're in high school, right? And also, Masego said, I don't know if Lesego said this as well, but things like extramurals and whatever. There's an important fact that Masego mentioned, and it was extramurals build character, right? And the importance of that, guys, you don't understand. There's so much character that is built from doing different things, and you get to identify the type of person that you are as well, right? So again, and I would also tell someone who is very good with extramurals and stuff like sports and cultural activity, don't neglect your abilities, right? Don't allow yourself to be just invested in school, right? And then basically abandon your inner talents and abilities. Cultivate those, work on them, nurture them, right? Because if you strike a balance, in fact, let me rather say strike a balance. Focus on school, make sure that you've got decent enough marks to pass, and not just pass, but actually have options at the end of your high school journey, right? But at the same time, work on these talents and abilities such that should you decide, you know what, I actually want a career in soccer or something like that, that you're able to, rather than, because I know some of my cousins who were very good with soccer and stuff like that, kind of neglected that side. And I legit believe they could have made it very far in those careers had they taken it really seriously. So it's so important to just strike a balance. So have your extramurals. Don't be, if you're an academic, I mean, there's people like myself who aren't necessarily, like, I don't have any real talents in terms of extramurals and whatever. Maybe I can sing a bit. Maybe I can play an instrument or two. Maybe I can swim. I can swim. That's the one thing I can really do. I can cook, things like that. But like, I'm not great at any of those things. So it was important for me to really focus on my books and making sure that that is good. But I was still part of the dramatics group. A dramatics group was, we basically played different African instruments, and we'd go to show, like we'd have shows and things like that, which was really cool. It's just unfortunate that like you can't take that skill out there and be like, yo, hey, maybe you can, maybe you can't. I don't know. The one very important thing about also participating in extramurals is that you get a chance to detox. You get a chance to just shift away from just books, because books on their own can be very toxic. You understand? Like, people don't understand this. They can be toxic because you're just studying. It's words, it's numbers, it's stressful. Understand? So when you go and you swim, just think about dipping in the pool and just swimming. You understand? But also, don't waste your time on unnecessary things. Masego was talking about TV being like a huge distraction, right? And I remember in my matric, Rhythm City used to be like fire. You understand? There used to be like, the storyline was like, I remember having to discipline myself not to watch it, you know, and always saying these people that are acting there have their matric, and I know you're busy here without a matric trying to exactly, and they're getting paid, and you're just sitting over there wasting your life away. So try and make, how can I call it? Try and make a list of things that are pointless, things that you're not gaining any kind of benefit from, and then make a list of all of the things that you like. Just write down all of the things that you like, and then maybe jot down next to them what 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 benefit can I get from this, and and sleep as well.
If you were to use a color, to sum up your high school experience, what would that be?
That's a tough one. I think I would say, yo, maybe blue, and I like the blue, sky blue, like sky blue, you know, and sky blue maybe because the sky is blue. That's kind of like the sky's the limit. So reach for the sky. I don't know. This is like the first thing that's coming to mind, because there's so much that you can get out of high school, right? There's a lot that you can gain academically, culturally, personally, in terms of sport. If you into that kind of thing, there's a lot that you can do, and like I said, high school defines like what happened and what you do, and the decisions that you make in high school can define. Look, they can define the rest of your life. It doesn't necessarily always mean that what you did in high school and the decisions that you took limit you, and you can never break out of anything that might have resulted from high school. But to a great extent, it does define the rest of your life for many people, right? So make sure then, because there's so much potential, the potential is sky high, right? And whether you've got bad teachers or you're in a bad school with bad students or whatever, it doesn't take away from the fact that you can, if you are really determined, get very far, And with the sky being blue, I would say that just brings to mind how far you can reach, And so with high school, if you really are determined, you can reach the sky.
I think for me, the first thing that came to mind was green. I kind of associate green with youthfulness, growth, embracing, trying. So for me, that's what high school was about. I was growing up from primary, now priorities have changed. Now it's no more spoon feeding, and I have to kind of get myself into gear and be the person that I want to be. Choose the right people around me, make the right decisions. So I grew a lot. I saw a lot of things. I experienced a lot of friendships, different friendships, ups and downs, and losing friends, people that you thought, oh, these are my friends. And when you get to matric, it's different. So and a lot of it had to do a lot with peers. People have a lot of influence, could have a lot of influence on you, especially people that you spend a lot of time with. So it was a lot of growing up and being youthful. Yeah.
My color would be orange. I don't say brown, but like it's orange and then like bright orange, and then it darkens into brown, right? So it's like those shades. So because I would say I had like two parts of like how I would like sum up my experience, right? So the bright orange would be, very happy, jolly, having a good time, or like just enjoying, being in high school. But then there were times where I would, like, now we're going down into the browns. So the brown for me now would represent, I'd say, anxiety. Yeah. So I suffer a lot from anxiety, but then it's gotten a lot better now, like as I grow older, because I learned to deal with, control and stuff. So it's only now that I'm growing up. Remember I said that, there was a point where, I was doing well in school, and then at some point I just fell off. And, at the time it's like, whatever. But then I didn't realize that I was falling into, I don't know, like I would say a hole, right? And then to a point where I didn't really know how to get out of it. And I have anxiety because I'm controlling with like how I want to plan out my life and how I want things to go. So when things don't work out, it's scary because now it's like I don't have control. So yeah, so those would be like the browns, because I find myself like when I don't know what to do and I don't know how to control something, I just sort of, I want to say give up, but then I don't really give. It's like I push, but then in struggle. But then it's like I'm not really breathing. It's like I'm fighting, but I'm not breathing. So I think also that's why I said, Hora, at some point I just like let go, and then I was just watching TV the whole time. So for me, looking back, it was like an escape, because I mean, I wasted so much of my time on stuff like TV. It sounds so stupid now. Like, who would do that? Like, who just waste their life and their future for TV? But it was an escape for me, because I mean, TV is nice. It was very funny, it was light-hearted, lightweight, just a relief for me. So yeah, so it's brown because it's like, when like you have a plant that you are watering the whole time, and then you stop watering it and then it just dies down. So I guess that was like me, because I remember I used to fall into a very deep anxious space where I didn't know what my life was going to look like, and that made me really nervous, and it made me fall deeper into not even trying. Yeah, so those are my colors. Yeah.
Just to kind of reflect on what you're saying, that brown kind of hits home a little bit, because it speaks to like anxiety and unknowingness and fearing like the most, and fearing what you don't know. So it's a very scary color and scary mood and uncomfortable that I think a lot of people have. It's I think it's a conversation that hasn't been talked about a lot. It has, but it's a we'll see it later or not now. So in Alina it has its time. So yeah, no, that was just a reflection. Yeah. I choose
Yeah.
brown too.
Pardon? You choose brown too?
I choose brown too, yes.
Yeah. I guess honestly that's like part of the reasons why I wanted to like start this channel, because like I said, for me, it took a lot of time having to identify stuff that I had no business being in. But I was in that space. I didn't know what that was. And only now when I've like now that I'm looking back at high school or whatever past experiences, I'm like, oh, was that? So now it's like, I'm kind of like using my platform to like, for someone else, maybe you haven't been in that space yet, or you are in that space, or you've been, to just recognize that you are not alone. And for me, thank goodness I got out of it, you see. But then sometimes, I mean, I could have fallen off in high school and never made it to tax, guys. I've always said that I want to become a chartered accountant. You know what I mean? So for someone who has always had that dream, and then now all of a sudden, like not being able to recognize like who I am anymore, what is it that I do, you see? So it's just not having to, fall off too deep in high school or wherever you are in whatever situation that you're in, to come back and realize that, you're not alone. There's people, and you can come out of it. Yeah. But it takes a lot. So that's why I'm sharing, so that you don't have to, it doesn't have to take so much and so many years for you to have to discover it. Yeah.